Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 2, Episode 2. It's called Downtime. So full spoilers for the episode, and this, in case it wasn't obvious, this is the new Twilight Zone, this is the current CBS All Access Twilight Zone. This episode stars Marina Baccarin, who you may know from a little TV show called Firefly, which had the same creator as the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'll get that out of the way right now.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, like you're going to be dropping an Arrested Development reference later. Okay. So, this is about her character, Michelle, who is all excited because she just got promoted to manager of the hotel she works at, and she's feeling like she's been working hard for this, she feels accomplished. Because I actually thought the episode was going to go down like some sort of weird CD route, because she goes in to talk to the current manager, and I thought there was going to be some kind of, because he wasn't really paying attention to her, we're going to go down some sort of weird, sexism theme. That wasn't the case at all, though. She kind of just, it's actually a hint of something that comes later, but instead she sort of tells this joke, which we'll get to in a minute, because it's very Canadian related, and you are, of course, Canadian. And but the actual premise of the episode is that she discovers the next day that everyone else starts freezing while this giant orb appears in the sky, and it's slowly revealed that she is in fact a character in some sort of online multiplayer video game, like a Second Lifestyle thing, and there's a problem with the person who's playing as her. She doesn't know this, and she is confused, she thinks she's real. It kind of taps into a lot of things I've seen in other places. There's Black Mirror's kind of tackled this. Even thematically, there's a little bit of Mr. Robot in here. There's definitely other examples. So that's kind of what the episode's doing. Obviously, we'll get into where it goes later with the plot. But so we pretty much agreed that the ending, as per season 1, the ending of last week's episode, and I say last week, it was last week for us. Obviously, they came out all in one go, but the ending of the last episode very much just shat the entire thing down the toilet and left me very upset. Tara, how did you feel about Downtime?
I thought this one was much more satisfying than the pilot episode. I think I like the runtime a lot.
I have to admit, I saw 33 minutes and went, oh yes, 33 minutes, get in.
I like that there isn't this huge reveal that changes the whole episode at the end. They didn't feel like it was necessary to do this time. And I was very intrigued by what was happening, the mystery of what was going on. There are a couple elements that I didn't love, like, I don't know, it felt like they got Marina Baccarin and some other Lindsay Lohan adjacent looking actress who's not her, but I thought it was. They hired them just so they can have a kissing scene. It's not that sexualized, but it's hard not to think that.
The actress who you're referring to is not Lindsay Lohan, is Serinda Swan, who I actually thought looked familiar. Oh yeah, I know exactly who she is. She is from Inhumans. She was also in like a small role in Smallville. She's done a lot of bad TV, basically.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mind this episode. I thought it was much more satisfying than the previous one. And turns out it's written by Jordan Peele. How about that?
Yeah, Jordan Peele had a creative input in at least one of the episodes this season, seemingly. We'll see as we go if there's any more. I actually tweeted out about 10 minutes into the episode. I tweeted out saying, this second episode of Twilight Zone, the new one, isn't bad, right? And to be fair, there's been other episodes where they've not been too bad about halfway through. I wasn't in love with it. I wasn't really super, again, I've seen these ideas done better elsewhere. I'm still not necessarily in love with the style of how the show looks per se. But again, it's okay. It's just doing some interesting ideas. I like the actress. I like some of the stuff it's playing with. And I actually said in the tweet, I can't wait to see how they ruin this at the end. And and to their credit, and I was actually shocked. The biggest swerve here is that there was no swerve, because it got to the final couple scenes, and I'm like, wait a minute, are they actually just ending this in a downbeat note and not trying to reshape the entire context of the episode in the last minute?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you know what? That instantly makes this one of the best episodes, maybe even the best episode of this entire new show. Yeah,
there's very little that I like that made me angry in this. In fact, maybe even nothing. It's not like a fantastic mind-blowing episode of the Twilight Zone or anything, but it's not bad. It's just kind of a neat little story about like somebody who works so hard her whole life seemingly for no reason at all now, and like does she keep going even though she knows it's fake, that kind of thing. And there's some parallels between things that she said at the beginning of the episode and people trying to be the customer care for her later on, which are kind of funny. But yeah, it's not bad. I agree. It might be one of the best episodes of the series, if not the best. Just because there's nothing in it that like makes your stomach turn.
And it's not great by any means. Like I do think almost everything in it could be better. Like, you know, that sounds like a really harsh thing to say, but it's very serviceable in what it's doing. Pretty much all times. There was nothing that made me kind of go, "Oh, that's a great idea," but I was just impressed that they didn't ruin it at the end with trying to like. Because we talked last week about how all these new episodes have to have some big twist at the end, and there was a comment talking about how classic Twilight Zone always had twists, and I really thought about it and went because we kind of said in the episode that not everyone had a twist, and I stand by that because I think of some of the famous episodes like. Time Enough at Last, I would not say that episode has a twist. I mean, what happens at the end's ironic, but it's not a twist in the same sense. And a lot of episodes, they'll have a twist in the sense that the concept itself is kind of a play on things, but that'll be introduced at the start of the episode.
Like Eye of the Beholder, like isn't obvious. Like a lot of the big memorable ones do, because that's like that changes everything and it's very exciting. But most of the episodes we watch, like, don't. Or if they do, it's like not that big of a deal.
Well, I mean, a lot of them have like a twist in whatever the story it's telling, but it's not a twist at the end that shakes everything up. It's something that they introduce at the start because it's the concept of the episode is that it's this but this, right? Most of them don't necessarily have a big twist again at the end where it goes, no, but it's all this instead, or it's all this earth-shattering thing. So obviously some have great twists. Obviously some of them do. But it's not something they felt the need to try and hit every single time. In fact, we're recording an episode of the classic Twilight Zone right after this episode, and it's the same sort of idea. It's like the actual ending has no twist. The ending is just kind of a thought-provoking moment to make you think about what you've just seen. It's not like da 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 da. It was all this all along. And I feel like if nothing else, I'm going to give this episode points for not doing it and just having it be this downbeat ending that says, hey, think about what the status quo is now, and just leave you there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's I think if you compare it to the series of what we've seen so far, it's not bad. Like, it's a decent episode. As far as an episode of TV goes, I mean, it's fine.
It's just fine. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's not earth shattering. Not that it needs to be. It's short and sweet, and it feels like you're in a Twilight Zone world.
I mean, the character like sort of arc could be more emotionally impacting. I think it maybe speeds through some of the ideas. Like she kind of handles not being a real person oddly kind of quickly, kind of well. She doesn't necessarily.
Well, she's not a real person, so.
I feel like an existential crisis would be kind of par for the course upon that revelation.
Yeah.
Because obviously everyone starts. Because the first thing I thought when everyone started looking up at the sky and they all kind of pause and looking up at this orb, I'm like, okay, so the world's been taken over by aliens and she's like the last human left who's not been taken over or something with that.
But it's interesting from the beginning because not everybody is frozen. You still see people moving around, and the people who aren't frozen aren't freaking out. She's the only one who's just like, why is no one else like panicking right now? And I'm like, and everyone seems to understand what's happening but me. And that that is interesting. And it's I was thinking of other episodes of you doing a dance move over there with the cats?
I've done Firefly. Feel free, continue.
I was thinking of other episodes that were similar from the classic series. I was thinking of the one where the astronauts land on a planet where everybody's frozen. Mm-hmm. There's a twist in that. I won't say what it is. There's or even the mannequin episode. Like maybe she's in this world and she doesn't realize that her world is. She's actually part of this world, but she thinks she's someone else.
Hmm.
And which, actually it is very much like that episode when you think about it.
Yeah, it is in ways. I definitely compare it more to something like USS Callister from Black Mirror, which is a little bit different. It's kind of flipped in the sense that it is kind of real people that have been put into a game. And then, certainly there's ideas, because the whole idea that, like, the real person, because, okay, I explain kind of, where the episode does now. So after everyone starts looking up at the orb, she runs home to her husband. Her husband doesn't freak out, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, it's that time. It's downtime." And he starts speaking in the worst Irish accent I've ever heard.
He probably watched a lot of Leprechaun films to research.
Yeah. He goes outside and he looks up and he also pauses, but he says, because he's like, "Okay, you're not remembering what you're supposed to be doing. Clearly there's something wrong. I'll ask for help. I'll send in the I don't know, the
IT.
IT, yeah, basically." And eventually a couple of guys show up, and for some reason all of the IT that show up to try and fix problems in this are all skateboard kids. I don't know why, but
I mean, maybe in the game it's the easiest way to get around.
Maybe
They look like they're in New York or something.
But basically that's when they explain the actual premise, is that she's actually a character who's played by a man, right? Which, because, and that's even like a sort of funny little beat in itself, where she's like, "Wait, I'm a man?" It's like, yeah. And like, but last night when he was playing, he had a heart attack, and there's like a moment earlier on in the episode where she kind of has this weird moment where everything kind of feels fuzzy and she's not really sure what's going on, and that's the heart attack moment. And he's actually on life support, and they're not sure. They think they have to disconnect him. They have to like unjack him. So they're going to try and force it from in here. And she's like, "No, but that sounds like it's going to help him. That sounds like it's going to help me. I still want my life. I'm still me."
Yeah.
And then there's these ideas of like, is this digital life form? Is she smart enough now to have become something that should have a right to have? Is she a Data from Star Trek? I'll give you one for free. Is she a Data from Star Trek where now she should have rights? Now she should be treated like a life form, and then they bring in the guy's wife, which is the actress you were mentioning earlier, who tries to, and she's the only one who refers to her as her. Like the two guys keep saying Mr. So and so. And this is obviously just making her freak out, because she's like, I'm Michelle, god damn it. And she's, and she goes for a walk with the wife, and the wife tries to like tell this story of how they first met, and what he said, the first thing he ever said to her was, and how he proposed to her, and she tries to make her promise, and she gives, this is where she kisses her and says, can you promise we'll try, we'll look up and go into downtime, and we'll see what happens. But she just kind of fakes it, and like the wife pauses when she looks up at the orb, and she doesn't, and she's like, "Sorry, I couldn't do it." And she kind of runs off back to the hotel, and she's sort of on the run from the skateboard kids. And then she runs in to Tony Hale on the roof, who's like someone higher up. He's like someone who actually engineers the game, and
he's the
like,
manager.
He's like, "Look, we're happy for you, let you stay in here, but we have to sign this waiver, and you can go back to your hotel managing life," and reveals that the guy's already dead. And she says, but that can't be right. I can still kind of sense him. Like, I can still kind of sense that someone else is here. Which adds in, I mean, I suppose if there's any complaint is that they, like, maybe this is the extra element they add in, but I think this one actually makes sense given the premise they've set up so far. Because the ending of the episode is that she has accepted to stay in this world. And she, and I thought, okay, this is raising some interesting questions. If you try and, like, transplant this as a metaphor for real life, the idea that you've kind of accepted that everything you're going to do is worthless, but you're going to do it anyway because that's just what life is. Like, there's things to sort of parallel there. But then the interesting sci-fi sort of little, caveat to it is that the wife shows back up in the game world to stay at the hotel. And it's this idea that Michelle does have at least part of her husband inside her. And she would rather spend time in the game with this woman who has part of her husband than, it's some way for her to connect to her dead loved one, basically. And I mean, maybe you were saying, maybe it's just easy, sort of like two beautiful women, or maybe have a romance now, and maybe that'll make people excited. But to be fair, I actually do think there's kind of a not too deep down. Like sometimes in these new Twilight Zone episodes, there's like a great idea buried so deep that they've shoveled so much shit on top of it. Here, at least, I feel like no, it's kind of there. It's under like a layer or two, but it's there. It's actually there, and I feel like there is like some cool ideas in here. I can maybe sense that there is maybe a better writer who had something here, but maybe it just needs to be a bit more fleshed out, and maybe focus on what those themes are a little bit more. Really like hit home the ideas of like the crisis of like maybe if I stay alive though, I get to keep part of him alive too. Maybe that's something that she could have brought up or thought of as Like,
Yeah.
okay, so he's dead in the real world, but if I still sense him, then maybe I'm helping keep a real person alive by continuing my life in some form.
Or maybe you're preventing closure.
Or you're preventing closure. Yeah, that's a debate. There's a debate to be had.
Yeah.
And that could be cool, right?
That could be.
I love how we seem to have turned negative now all of a sudden, even though we started off by saying this is probably one of the best episodes they've done.
I mean, it definitely is, but it's not like that exciting.
Yeah,
it's also, I mean, I can't help but think like, what a boring video game that people play. But at the same time, like, I'm stuck on Animal Crossing, which is essentially a boring game about just digging holes in ground and breeding flowers all day to try to get rare colors. Like, we have Farming Simulator that's played by people who have interesting lives, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird. Yeah, I mean, I guess I get it. It's people try to live out completely different lives to theirs. The obvious kind of joke to make is, oh, maybe it is all just weird sex stuff. Like, you know, what's Michelle doing with her private life? Like, is this why the guy likes playing as Michelle, right? Like, that's the obvious thing to kind of jump to. But the episode's not really interested in exploring what people actually do in the game. I feel like it never even wants to address that or talk about what all these other players are doing. Like, what, you know, because it seems to be whoever's playing her husband, that's someone playing the husband. It's not like the husband's an NPC that's there for her character. It's someone else.
No, it's some Irish guy.
Yeah, some Irish guy's playing as
Donald or something.
Yeah. Oh, is that the first Irish name you could think of?
I think he said his name was like Donnie or Donald, something like that.
All
O'Doyle.
Right.
Donald O'Doyle. That's definitely his name.
My name is Donald O'Doyle, and I'm 33. I'm sorry, that was terrible.
Dirty Tree.
It was almost as bad as the accent that the guy did in this episode. Yeah, you know what? It had some
Danny.
good ideas.
His name was Danny. Okay.
His name Danny. Yeah.
Looked
It had
up.
some good ideas. I think it was still a little bit overshot for me, which is kind of a problem I've had with a lot of these new Twilight Zone episodes. But it didn't put on some bullshit ending. So as a result, it's a pretty serviceable episode with some, you know, okay moments and a nice,
and a really great runtime.
And I don't know what it says about the episode that we're coming out. It's going, oh, it was nice and short. Yeah, more of these should be this
they
short.
weren't trying to, like, you know, add things that weren't necessary.
Yeah, but there's an irony here that I'm saying that they really should have explored some of the themes a bit more to give it a bit more oomph.
Yeah.
So
It was nice seeing Tony Hale also.
it's kind of a nothing role. Like, at least Marina Baccarin gets to be the lead character, gets to be the one who goes on the journey. Tony Hill just shows up to, like, say, like, 3 lines and piss off again.
That's all right. I like Tony Hale anytime he shows up.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tony Hill too. It just feels like a really relatively thankless role.
I mean, it wasn't a comedy role, which seems like a shame.
Yeah, you know what? Typecast him. Maybe he wants to do some more serious dramatic work.
I don't want that.
I don't know.
I want him to show up with his awards from, what is he, like a window cleaner?
So some of Robin Williams' best performances is when he decided to go dark and be like a villain.
Yes,
So.
I also enjoy 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia.
Those were the exact two I was thinking of. There you go.
I know.
Why do you say this?
Were there any more?
He was in a movie called Final Cut. I think he was a bad guy in that, but I've never seen it, so I don't know for sure. It just looked that from the poster.
Okay.
So that's my guess.
Final Cut does sound like it's slice and dice.
Yeah, the Final Cut. I have bad news. The next one's 46 minutes.
That's all right.
42.
We don't have to do it for another week.
40. I'll just check it. 31. Oh, but episode 6 is my new running front runner for favorite this season. Oh, it's 33 again at episode 7. Oh,
Hey,
nice little
maybe
stride
they
here.
listen to us.
35 for episode 8 is not bad. I can.
Why was the pilot so long?
I don't know.
Oh, well.
Well, it's not really a pilot. It's a season 2, episode 1.
You're right. Premiere.
Yes. Premiere. Episode 10 is 41 minutes. You know what? I have to give them credit because maybe I'm mistaken, but I remember some of the episodes last season being like 50 odd minutes.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
Yeah, well, the longest one here is like 45 or something like that, so maybe the last one was the longest one.
Yeah, okay.
So, And that's some good news.
Yeah. I mean, I think either you and Connor or you and myself said every single time we reviewed the season 1 episode it's just too long.
No, it was. So maybe. Oh well, there's at least one thing you're going to like about episode 10.
Oh.
Yes, his name is George Takei.
Oh, I was going to say a Shatner in it.
Oh, you'd have been close. It's a Trek alumni, all the same.
Shatner or Frakes. And then third is Tony Hale.
Third is Tony Hale. So that is episode 2 of season 2 of Twilight Zone. It's okay. It's, you know, I don't know if I rated the last one. This one, you know, it's like a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid 6.5. It's not bad. It's perfectly watchable. I was not mad that I sat through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's maybe as nice as I'm going to get this season on this show. So, enjoy it. Cherish it. So you can, of course, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can of course, liking is really important on YouTube. It helps us out. It lets everyone know, it lets YouTube know that you think the video is worth sharing, and they'll do so. So please do. You can also, of course, support us on Patreon, can't you, Tara?
That's right. If you enjoy our reviews and you want to support the channel and support us, check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/ManifestTV. If you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to a library of other films that we have reviewed, like the Transfer Saga, Judge Dredd, Time Cop, plus a bunch of horror movies that I don't do the reviews on, but for our sister show, Screams After Midnight, which is the horror movie review show. So yeah, please check out the Patreon page. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to some shows a week early and some a day early. So please check it out. Thank you.
There you go. That was wonderful, Tara. Wonderful.
It felt good.
Yeah. All right. Also, guys, on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching. Actually, you know what? Since the whole season's out, we could probably read the description for the next one, like we do for the classic show. It just occurred to me as I was outroing. So yeah, I mean it's a bit weird doing it right to the end of the outro. I know,
record scratch.
Everyone's already left, but episode 3 is called The Who of You. The Who of You. The Who of You. The Who of You. That's funny to say. A struggling actor risks everything to catch his big break, but an impulsive scheme takes a few unexpected turns. Okay. We'll see. All right, that's us. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Goodbye, guys. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?